Hello everyone, welcome to ETimes. Today we have two wonderful actors with us who have crafted their own niche through their careers, and now they're coming together in a totally offbeat but very exciting and eagerly anticipated movie called Bob Biswas. Hello Abhishek, hello Chitrangda, how are you guys doing?
Very well,
Hi,
thank you.
hi. Thank you.
Great. So I'm just going to jump into the first question. Bob Biswas, it's one of the most iconic characters of our times, one that has stayed relevant for almost a decade now. What were your respective feelings and reactions, when the film was first offered to you both?
Chitrangda, you want to go?
Yeah, I was told that, it was the brief that was given to me was that this is the woman who every man wants to marry. And there has to be that sense of wholesomeness or this kind of goodness about her, which is what brings the man home. You basically make his house a home for him. And that this is what, after everything that he's been through in life and the matlab jo bhi kuch hua hai iske saath and the bad things that have happened to him, and this is what he wants to, and this is his safe haven. Like, this is what he wants to come back to. This is going to save him from everything that he's been through. So that was the character brief, and I thought it was very nice. One, the world was beautiful, around this. It was so real. It's like you could touch and you can feel and you can smell the place, and you can, it was. So I think I've always been slightly leaning towards films which are like this, which are more real, which are in the gray, which are right in the middle, and somewhere they're written where nothing is good, nothing is bad, but it's real and everything happens for a reason. And I find that very beautiful, So whether it's Bob's character, whether it is Mary's character, all the other characters, I think, and they're all written so beautifully that you can't judge them for anything that they do. And for me to just be part of something that Sujoy was writing, I have been wanting to work with him for a really long time, and I've been telling him whenever I did meet him. So for me, it was like I would just jump at it, like whatever, just tell me. And with his writing, you really can't go wrong when it comes to characters. So it really just wasn't even a thought. I want to work with people who do this kind of justice to the characters, even if you're there for 2 scenes or 3 scenes. And there's so many such interesting characters that he's written in this film. It's just, and that's what everything comes together and makes it so believable. It's just beautiful, and I can't wait for people to see it.
Right.
So,
Abhishek?
that's...
No, I agreed to do the film before I heard the script. So,
Right.
I didn't know I was playing Bob Biswas till I'd already said yes.
Okay.
I say it might sound, and I don't mean to take away from her work and her talent, but when Sujoy told me that Diya was going to direct the film, and it was an automatic yes, because she was Sujoy's daughter, and that's how it started. I'm a bit of an emotional person that way, and Sujoy is a dear friend, and to know that Diya was going to be making a foray into cinema, I wanted to be a part of it and support in whichever way possible. After that was done, and when I read the script, I was overjoyed. I have to admit, reluctantly, that I had not seen Kahaani. I actually saw Kahaani during the lockdown after 80% of the film was done.
Okay.
But I don't think you need to see Kahaani. I don't think there's much relation to the film. It's just like Chitrangda said, it's a wonderful world that they've created, filled with wonderful, believable, realistic characters that do unrealistic things. And I think that's so close to life, and to show and to work in material which shows how extraordinary life actually is. Life is stranger than fiction at times. And I think this movie is the embodiment of that. To have such opposing forces tugging at you throughout the film. Like I said, first to shatter the illusion of what a contract killer slash hitman should look like. Nowhere in our wildest imagination do we think that a contract killer will look like Bob Biswas. I mean, there's nothing contract killer about him in his physicality at all. The world that is created, and everything is so believable and so tactile, and it's very visceral. So I just thought it was such a great environment to set a film in. And I think most actors would have a very difficult time saying no to material like this and to characters like this.
Right. It's, I mean, you've mentioned it. I mean, this fact is sort of stranger than fiction as well. And it's not every day that we get, the love story of a hitman. I mean, I know it's been done in movies before, but there's a sort of a novelty factor over here. So is that the fresh aspect of the subject? Is that the part of the subject that appeals the most? That that dreaded killer has been sort of domesticated, that he's sort of going for redemption.
Domesticated.
Well, when you see the film opens with Bob having lost his memory, so he has no recollection of his life, and it's his discovery of his wonderful wife and children, and his contentment in his domesticated life when his professional life catches up with him, and his moral dilemma of, I'm very happy in this life with my wife, with my son, with my daughter, and I don't want to be doing this other thing that apparently I used to do. So I think the love story is alluded to in that context. Bob Biswas is not a love story. I would say the best way to summarize the genre of the film is, I would probably say, a crime thriller. But what's really nice is through this, how the character discovers his contentment in his domestic life and his discontentment with his professional life.
Right. That's a theme that is very relevant to almost every individual today. I mean, we've all been sort of working from home for the past 2 years, and we've discovered that, when we spend so much time with our families, there's that toss-up between the work and life balance. I mean, it's a question that's very relevant to almost every individual out there. So,
absolutely,
I mean, it's fantastic that those themes are sort of coming together. I mean, Chitrangda, have you sort of found yourself sort of, looking to strike that balance between work and life, like probably Bob Biswas might have done in the film, or otherwise?
We all do, right? And it's constant. It never happens like, okay, chalo, aaj ho gaya, khatam, done for the year. It's every single day of your life. And I think for women, it's slightly different. I mean, I'm not taking away anything from men, but I think the responsibilities, or maybe the emotional responsibilities that women have, is slightly different. So yeah, I mean, you're constantly doing it, but that's life. That's part of it. I would be doing it if I was working in a bank. I would be doing it any which way. So yeah, I mean, but I think that's what is interesting, because when you've been through those times and you've been through life experiences, you can understand when a director sort of tells you of a certain situation or a moment. I mean, you somewhere bring it out of some experience that you've had emotionally, and it kind of comes out, and helps you in your performance. So yeah, I think we obviously go through these balance problems, and you have to make your choices every day, but I think it's a good thing. It just adds to your emotional intelligence, whatever you might call it, but and it helps you as an actor. It definitely helps you. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Abhishek, is the same for you? Is it about striking a balance between how much work you do, how much time you spend with your family?
Well, yes and no. I think in a utopian world, you'd want a perfect balance of that. But you have your days, the days where you really don't feel like reporting for work and just spending time with the family. And the days where you're so immersed in your work that you don't have time for your family. And that's the kind of life we lead. And that's an actor's life, there's, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's correct to just say an actor. I think anything in life, you're not going to achieve anything without sacrifice. And life is about choices, and you have to make those choices. In the film world, there is an immense amount of sacrifice of your personal life, and that's what it demands. I have not, unfortunately, I've not seen many, if any, buddy, achieve great things in their profession of choice without any personal sacrifice or without compromising their personal life. That's just what life demands, and that's the way it is. So I don't think too much about it. I get on with it and do what you have to do.
Right, right. Coming back to the film as well. Bob Biswas is a very offbeat character, and Abhishek, you are no stranger to playing different sort of characters. I mean, you've done it even in a Man Marziya, where you are sort of a regular guy, but what do you expect out of your relationship? What do you expect out of life is very different. So, is that your calling? These out of box characters that are completely different from the mold per se. Is that what excites you the most?
I'd love to say yes, because that sounds great. I sadly can't say yes, because I'm not sure whether I'm comfortable bracketing and boxing our characters as offbeat, or I think every character that you try and play is unique. And not just me, although I've tried to do that as often as possible. As actors, you don't want to repeat yourself. You don't want to do the same thing. You try and find, even if it is one small thing that's different, you try and find something new to do to push yourself. So yeah, I mean, the quest always should be to do something that you haven't done before, unless you're doing a recurring thing. For example, when I did Dhoom, it's a franchise film, so you can't be changing your character. You do that. If you're doing a television show, you're playing the same character, or you're doing a web show, then yes, it's fine. But apart from that, you try and do work that you haven't done before, that excites you, that gets you out of bed in the morning and gets you to work. So I don't know if it's my calling. I think that should be every actor's calling, and I'm pretty sure it is.
Right. And a similar question to you, Chitrangda. I mean, now that Abhishek's mentioned, the quest should be to do something new, to sort of challenge yourself. I mean, right through your career, we've had this one common point where people have identified you as one of the most beautiful actresses ever on screen. Your enchanting beauty. Have you sort of tried to ever break out of that mold? Have you sort of ever said, I want to do something totally different?
I think I have no such also I don't have the luxury of having such a choice that I would say, okay, I've done this before, take this back. But the minute I get something, okay, yeah, maybe not. So sometimes I do get, like you said, the enchantress, the seductress, the da 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 da. I get a lot of this kind of in the most basic way possible getting offered to me. But yeah, I agree with Abhishek. I think what you try to do is find interesting characters. I mean, I could be a lover in one film and be a jealous lover, and I could play another one where a lover is written differently, and she's probably I don't know, a very weak woman and still in love, and this is a jealous woman who would probably be very spiteful. But there, I mean, it's just the way something is written that excites you. It's very difficult to put a finger on and say, oh, this is what it is. But sometimes it's just like, for example, this character that I'm playing in this film. And I was given this. So what Sujoy explained to me, because he's written the film, what he said was that Mary, just in her presence, has to be this woman that he would want to come back to. It's just the presence that has to, just the way she looks at him, just the way she probably would hold his hand. And, so there has to be something in your presence that does it. So there are no verbose, like there's not like too many dialogues, and there's not so much of these scenes of between the husband and the wife. But so I found that very interesting, to play a woman like that, who has a certain dignity, who would not is not doing so well, is trying to keep her sort of family running and house running, but has a sense of pride about herself, and everything has to come through her presence and just the way she carries herself. So just I think when there's an interesting person writing it, and he's written an interesting character, an interesting director trying to create an interesting world, it just somehow just comes together and you want to be part of it. So there is no such one thing ki, Arey yaar, ye maine pehle nahi kiya. Of course I've worn a sari before like that, and I've done no makeup look, and I've done that in my first film, but it's very different. So yeah, I always think about it as an actor, and I think it's very difficult to put a finger on and say ki ye main karungi or ye main nahi karungi. It's I mean, that same seductress written beautifully, by somebody in an interesting way, who's has some whatever 10 layers. She's a mother, but she's a seductress, but she's this and that. It could be amazing. So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but I've just gone on about this without giving an answer. But it's very tough to say कि ये करना है और ये नहीं करना है. It is just something that's, excites you when you hear it the first time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Abhishek, one very important question for you. I mean, see, this character was sort of immortalized, so to speak, by Shashwato. And when your first look came out, now that your trailers also come out, those comparisons are pretty inevitable, so to speak. So, I mean, how have you reacted to those comparisons? A lot of people have said that why Shashwato not here, why is Abhishek here? How do you sort of react to it? I mean, what do you feel about that?
I think, first of all, I've never understood how to answer this question. I mean, it's a question that should be asked to Diya and Sujoy. They're the ones who offered me the film.
Right.
But the only thing I can say in all fairness is watch the film and then take your decision.
Right.
And see it as a film, and then move on with that.
Fair enough. And one final question. Individually, both of you, what sort of expectations do you have of this film? And how do you sort of see that panning out? Starting with Chitrangda.
I think, well, expectations are kind of, when they saw the trailer, I guess the world and so obviously the expectation of Sujoy has written the film would be of a certain, level. And I think we've definitely created that, and we've reached that point where, the mystery and the way the storytelling is, and the way, I just think the whole world is just so beautiful and believable and mysterious and unpredictable at the same time. So I think people are really going to love it. Plus, I mean, with all, being humble enough at the same point, I just want to say that something like this I haven't seen in a while on screen. This world, this genre, of course, there's a lot of love stories, there's a lot of light films, but something which is this unique, I haven't personally as an audience seen on screen in quite some time. So yeah, I think they would love it. They would really enjoy this. Yeah.
Abhishek, your expectations, what are you hoping on this film?
I hope Diya is smiling after the 3rd of December. That's my only hope. I hope she's happy and she's proud and she gets her due recognition.
Great, fair enough. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck for Bob Biswas. I hope.
Thank you.
I hope it hits the bullseye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Bye.
Thanks.